You let me know when you are ready.
Yeah. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, I am starting it, and then I'll clap us in here in a second. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Well, we're here at the late hours on Super BS, a nighttime podcast, as you all know us. We're here to warm you up as you get your toasted chocolate marshmallows and you get all your KB toys and all the things that you kids love here. I'm Super Baby Boy Brank, here to talk to you all about those games that you know and love, because that's all we do. We talk about toys and games, right? I'm joined by Ultimate Toy Collector #1 fan of all time. Who am I joined by?
Ultimate Toy Collector #1 fan of all time, Josh. And this is Baby Boy Brank, who just never wanted to grow up. He just always wanted to be a Toys R Us kid.
Yeah, this is super. Well, this is JB Ultimate Toy Fan #1 69420 No Scope. That's his handle that he always goes by on all of his gaming things. So you can find him there where he's collecting toys. And you know us as Super BS, a podcast about video games mostly. But this time we're actually just going to talk to you about the #1 Marvel superhero. We're going to talk to you guys about the guy who has all the powers. You know who I'm talking about, right? They're making a movie or a show of him. Say his name, JB. Say his name.
Say his name.
Say his name. You know what I'm talking about.
Hawkeye, right? Is that who we're talking about?
I was hoping you were going to get a different one because he's like, I was setting you up to say anybody but Hawkeye. Hawkeye is the loserliest dude of the bunch. Yeah. He has no superpowers, yet he is getting a show.
His dudiest show.
His show is about a guy who's okay at archery, but he normally just gets beat up over and over and over again. I can't wait to watch it. How did this happen?
Live action Robin Hood. Russell Crowe turned the part down, so they got what's his name in the part?
Jeremy Renner, man, the guy's #1 bro. You ever watch what's that name? Oh man,
he was in that bank movie with Ben Affleck.
Hurt Locker.
Yeah, he's in Hurt Locker, but he's also in The Town with Ben Affleck. Remember, he's one of the buddy.
Hell yeah, that he was in The Town, bro. I know this isn't a video podcast, but I just showed my bro signs to everybody so you can see. Are you excited for Hawkeye?
I'm overwhelmed. I still haven't watched Loki. I haven't watched the What If stuff. I haven't seen Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi's good.
That's what I hear.
I liked it a lot.
I made my grand return to the movie theaters last week.
No, you can't do that. It's illegal. That's dangerous. You're killing everybody in your family, and everybody's grandmas who listen to this just died because you said that. Get out of the theater, okay?
We sat there and we watched Paw Patrol. Not Shang-Chi, but...
Well, at least nobody was there with you, so you didn't hurt anyone, because it was a zero occupancy theater. So you guys by yourself. You were the $30 that Paw Patrol made.
$30, yep. And that's it. We sent him #1 in the box office, baby. Chase was on the case all day.
Paw Patrol movie box office. Let's see how many people actually went to see this. Wow, this makes me sad. This is actually very, very disappointing. I guess it made $92.5 million. Is Paw Patrol Disney also?
It's Nickelodeon.
Makes me sick, and there's no SpongeBob in there. Don't want to watch it.
Dude, don't even get me started on the lack of SpongeBob respect around here.
Yeah, if there's no Angry Beavers or SpongeBob in a Nickelodeon film, I don't want to see it. Get it out of my face.
Yeah.
Well, are you excited? Are you going to play the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl?
So I keep thinking about it. I keep seeing them introduce more characters into it, and
I'm
tempted. I'm tempted, man. I'm tempted, and I saw they added April O'Neil and Cat Dog, and I'm tempted now.
Cat Dog. I remember watching a few episodes of that show. I really think that was the low point of my time watching Nickelodeon. That was the time where I realized, like, these shows aren't so great, or maybe they were just getting worse. Because Cat Dog was one I remember thinking.
And they're very like dirty too. I keep on wanting to like show the girls, you know, my kids this Nickelodeon heyday that we used to live in, but I can't at the same time because I know they're gonna come away with something that they shouldn't.
Yeah, probably like swear words like pee-pee and poo-poo, because they were all about that.
Exactly. All the poops and the peas and the birds and the bees.
So before I start regaling you with all of the games that I both played and beaten in several occasions, what have you been playing? You've been playing anything modern? There's so many games that came out.
No, I've not played anything modern.
Okay.
I've just been playing old stuff over and over again. We don't need to
Did
talk
you
about that because
what real quick, yeah, because we don't got the time to hear about old stuff. But what have you played? Just name it. You don't got to tell us about it. If it's just Forza Horizon, DOS, or whatever game you're playing at this point. Or Assassin's Creed.
I went back. I'm still playing Assassin's Creed, man. I did check out what's that game, the mobile game that Square made, Sino Alice. Does that ring a bell?
That does ring a bell, but that's a pretty old game. What made you think about playing that?
I don't know. I was looking up like RPGs, good mobile RPGs, and that popped up. I don't really like it that much though, so I don't know if I'm gonna play it again. So
yeah, it doesn't look like my speed, but I mean, I know you and your like of Japanese kids who are sexualized, so that's for you, man. That's everybody knows down the show.
They like take fairy tale characters and they put dark, weird twists on them, like Alice's bondage into bondage and stuff. So I don't think I'm gonna go back and play that one. I'm just not. Not
we talked on this show at great length, Perv JB, as we call you on this show, as you have the "Stop Censoring My Games" as your hashtag all over the internet.
Yeah,
I know you just hate how I think it's Sony who censors stuff. That the very pervy young men who like PlayStation are very upset about. So, man, the internet is a great place. It is a great place. Okay, so besides just perverted games for pervs and Assassin's Creed, which is also a pervert game, did you play Artful Escape like I demanded you play it?
No, I didn't have time. I didn't have time to download it. We just talked like a few hours ago. But I think you should tell me about it. Regale me with tales of Artful Escape.
I have not played Artful Escape. I wanted you to play it.
What was that art game that was on Sega Genesis? Art Alive on Sega Genesis, where you got to like paint things. Is that similar to what we're talking about?
Modern depiction of Art Alive from Sega Genesis. This isn't the remake. They just chose a totally different title, and it's a totally different style game.
We've been
and it's
clamoring for this game for years.
I loved Art Alive. To be fair, I loved that game. Oh yeah, that game was dope. Did you ever play it?
Yeah, it was fun. I have a complete in box copy of it on my shelf.
Oh hell yeah, man! You gotta show us that box. That was back when like Microsoft Paint was like still amazing. So Art Alive was like this crazy. You could put stickers in that game. Okay, just know that.
Anything where you could actually like draw pictures, I remember as a kid was like really, really cool to me. And then printers came out. So
yeah, and then porn came out right after printers, so you just print it right on.
It's a natural progression. We can print words. What if we could print nude people?
Yeah, it's like Dennis Reynolds on Always Sunny. He always draws women that are very funny looking. They're stick figures with large breasts. And that's the only part that is not a stick figure. So it's incredible. Anyways, okay. So there were a deluge of games that just came out this last week. And by the time you're listening to this, I will have had the chance to play the game that came out this week, Deathloop. But last week, Life is Strange, True Colors came out. Artful Escape came out. Tales of Arise came out. WarioWare Get It Together came out. And I feel like there's another game. But those are the four off the top of my head. Artful Escape is a Game Pass game. I downloaded it, haven't turned it on yet. I did pick up WarioWare Get It Together, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I did pick up Tales of Arise. I'll talk a little bit about that. I did not pick up Life is Strange True Colors. That's not my game. That's not my bag. That's one of those kind of walk around adventure, point and clicky style things where you're just kind of talking to people. It is totally a JB game. It's a Night in the Woods, your favorite game you talk about and you beat for some odd reason.
You know what I did really enjoy in the Life is Strange series? The only one I've ever played is the Captain Spirit one, but I remember really enjoying
Captain Underpants. If
Underpants,
you don't know the name of it, I'm sorry, listeners. It's called Captain Underpants. It's a famous kids book.
Pure ignorance.
You played that Captain Spirit game?
I did. I played it to completion. I enjoyed it. It had a fun story. I'm not a fun story, a sad story, but
fun about alcoholism and how it hurts children. I love those stories.
It pulled me in, man. I felt for the kid. I felt sad. We went on this adventure, and they said, hey, you could go back if you play Life is Strange 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever they were on, and I was like, maybe, and I just never went back and played with them again.
You jerk. They miss you and they want you. Anyways, I think I turned on the original Life is Strange for about 5 minutes. I have no interest in playing those games. So I probably will not play it. Seems to be, though, the consensus is if you like those games, you will like this one a lot. It's much better than 2 was, it seems like, and people are pretty much saying it's around as good as the first one was. That being said, before I get to the new stuff, I did finish Psychonauts 2. It was great. There were a few things that I did mention last time. It has quick resume. It works on Series X. That's what I played on. And it has a lot of really neat features. It has fast travel, and it is a collectathon. I'm not going to 100% it. The things that you collect in that game are really, they're figments of your imagination. They're hard to spot. There's lots of them. And
wait,
honestly,
figments of my imagination? Or
yes,
yours?
It's actually yours. That's how they get them in the game, is they contact you. You don't remember all those text messages. They're asking, what do you think about sometimes? And it was really weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange you responded to all those unknown numbers that were texting you. So what are some things you think about? And you didn't even ask who it was. You just started telling. You're a weirdo, okay? So figments of imagination. There's emotional baggage that you can find. There's a lot of fun things, but the worlds aren't like Mario. They're actually fairly linear, and they evolve over time. So I can't imagine going back to those worlds and looking for these, because I don't even know how you easily can go through them again. So I will say I did really, really enjoy it. I think it's a really well-made game. It's a lot of fun. I hope they make a Psychonauts 3. Perfect Game Pass game. It is a little janky. I cannot imagine spending $60 on it, but at the same time, like, knowing what I know about now, I think it's worth $60. Like, if you had a PS4 or PC and you don't want Game Pass, it's not you could buy a lot worse games. It's definitely like top 5.
Yeah, well, this released on PS4 too, didn't it?
That was the original thing. They were, if you remember, they crowdfunded on Fig, which was more like an investment company or investment platform. But yeah, I will say now playing it, like $60 is totally fair. It's a fairly long game, about 15 hours. You were right. I thought it was way longer. About 15 hours if you want 100%, probably looking at 30, maybe 20, 25 if you can do it quick. But it is pretty enjoyable. There's just some jank. It is an older game that they modernized a lot about, but there are still things like you have 4 face buttons that you can change what they do, but there are 8 moves. So you're often having to go and fumble around like, I need to do this.
Yeah, okay. So I have a question for you then, because that was one of the main things, like in the opening of the game, that I was having trouble with, was having to switch between all the different move types, so that I'm like setting things on fire or pushing things or kicking or punching or whatever it is. I was having trouble doing all those at once. Like they give you the training areas and you have the different enemy types come at you at once. Is that something that happens over and over throughout the game, or is it kind of like one enemy type and then another enemy type like later on?
So you don't have to use any specific move to kill any enemies. So that thing that you were struggling with at the beginning is kind of funny, because at the beginning you only have 4 moves. So you can attach them or bind them to each of the LB, RB, left trigger, right trigger. So it's really only once you get 8 moves or 6 moves where you start to have to press up on the D-pad and switch your moves out to be able to do things. Now, you don't need to do things in combat. There are definitely things that make it easier. The fire is not one of them, but the shooting move, and there's later moves that really help with combat. But it's more like the platforming. Yeah. There are multiple times during platforming and sections where I'll have to switch and rebind those buttons, which isn't the worst. It's just frustrating because the rebinding isn't, it's fast. It's like you press up on the D-pad, then you click on the ability, then you press whichever button you want to bind it to, LB, RB, left trigger, right trigger. However, if you press up on the D-pad and you click onto that thing and you don't press LB, RB, left trigger, right trigger, and then you just let it go back because you're fighting or doing something else, you do not rebind the move, you do not get the move, So it is frustrating a little bit because you're never comfortable. You're always switching where those moves are for the most part. like I always kept my ball, the one that you roll around on, as left trigger, just because like it was annoying to switch it. So I always kept a left trigger. Everything else, though, I had to switch at times, whether it was telekinesis or different abilities I don't want to reveal later. I had to switch. Otherwise, though, I will say it's fun, and it does give you that feeling that some games give you where it's like you sometimes feel like you shouldn't be able to get to the place you're at, but because you did the platforming so right in one area, you were able to do it. And in some cases, I know that to literally be true because I found the correct way later, and I had just done a right jump in the right place and gotten or received like the treasure at the end of it.
Do you remember like in the early 2000s, like when platformers first came out, whether it's like Mario 64 or Spyro or Crash Bandicoot or whatever? Do you remember that you had like there were times when you had to hit the right spot at just the right time, or else you would miss the next platform every time you did it?
Yeah, they have some of that in this game too, which is a little frustrating. This is definitely a more forgiving one than those old games, but yeah, they have that here. There was one where it was like I was trying to grab onto a swinging like rope that you need to swing back and forth on, but I pressed the A button twice, the jump button, and I double jumped, but it was a single jump. And then later there was one where I found that most of them were single jumps. Later I found one that was a double jump, and I fell. Thankfully, the game's not very punishing. Normally, you just get reset right back where you jump from, and you just lose a little bit of health. And as you rank up, you get more and more and more and more and more health. So you're finally like pretty overpowered. And the game is actually really simple. Like I don't even remember getting close to dying on the last boss. However, that being said, I was pretty high rank, which gives you more life, and I had purchased a lot of the items and upgrades that let you stay alive longer. So. Really great. Can't recommend enough. As of right now, definitely in my top 5 for this year. This year is going to get wild, though. I honestly feel like my top 5 is going to be changing in the next 2 months just because, I think Village is pretty much a lock. I don't know if it's a lock as number 1, but I want to go back and finish that one. I was thinking about that today. It's going to be wild if that doesn't make it in the top 5. Like, I don't know if it's going to stay my number 1, but it was a great game. Yeah. That being said, like I've been a big fan of WarioWare since I want to say I had the original Game Boy Advance title, WarioWare Mega Micro Games Inc. Not 100% sure I had it, but I'm pretty sure I did. And then I know I had WarioWare Smooth Moves. And have you ever played a WarioWare game?
No, I haven't. But before we move on with this, I just want to clarify, right? You didn't want to play this game.
We talked about it at great length. I feel like the biggest hypocrite ever. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff that I wasn't planning on purchasing, that a mix of a really slow year and me just wanting to play new stuff is made me purchase a lot of games I would not normally have purchased in any other year. So WarioWare Smooth Moves on Wii was really my first love letter, or like my first ability to fall in love with the WarioWare series, which is you play these micro games that get shorter and shorter as you play. I want to say you start with originally like 7 to 10 seconds to do them. They're all very simple. You normally have to do a thing. Like a good example that they show off in a lot of the trailers is you have a god statue like Zeus, and he has hairs under his arm, and you have to tweeze them. Now, what makes this different from WarioWare Smooth Moves? WarioWare Smooth Moves was a game that used the Wiimote. So you'd use the Wiimote to do stuff like you'd lay it on the top, and then a phone would ring, and you'd pick it up. And then that would something would come out of the microphone on the Wiimote, and it'd be really silly, and you have to do that and do it at the right time and do all these other things. This game is about platforming with characters. So it uses 2 buttons, the movement and the A button. That's it, the whole game. But there's, how many characters? I want to say it's 18 playable characters, and all of them control slightly differently, with a lot of them having a lot of overlap. So a good example would be Wario. He has a jetpack on, can fly around the screen, and if you press the A button, he does his shoulder charge into anything and breaks it. There's another character who just jumps. His A button is a jump. You can hold it to make a long jump.
Do different characters different characters utilized better for different mini games, I guess?
100%, which makes this game both very fun and extremely frustrating. Because let me give you an example. Okay. So there's this mini game where, depending on who I am, I haven't been able to win it. Where there is a guy, it's very funny, just like a weird-looking character, and he is falling down with a parachute, and he's about to land on spikes. And the mini game is you got to push him out of the way. so he doesn't fall on
Oh.
spikes and die, right? Now, if you're WarioWare, that's super easy. You're in a jetpack. You can move any direction you want. You stay in the air. Doesn't matter. You hit him with your A, he gets knocked out of the way. But say you're the other character I always choose, which is Cricket. His only ability is jump. So if Cricket touches the spikes, he dies. If that guy touches the spikes, he dies. So you have to jump, hit him, but normally one hit isn't enough. Like you have to like hit the one of his arms, so he kind of like goes a little bit. So one hit isn't enough. So normally when I do my second jump, I hit it and I'm like now over the spikes, like I'm in the middle, and I fall to my death because I hit that. Now, Cricket is one of the more versatile characters. He's very easy to control. He can move and jump. There is a character that is so bad that I literally hate when I play as him. He is on a skateboard. I actually like the character a lot. His name is 9volt. He's been in a lot of the other games. He's a kid. Most of his levels are Nintendo levels that are remixed. So you're playing through a Mario level and you have to jump over fire or whatever. And it's really fun. Yeah. 9volt is on a skateboard moving left to right the entire time. You do not get to control where he goes. He can throw a yo-yo in the air. He'll stop for a second while he throws the yo-yo in the air. And so many of the challenges are like, grab this thing, do this thing. If you miss it on your first pass, you normally have one chance to get it on the second pass. Now, you're learning what the game is while you're playing. So if you don't press A perfectly on that second time, you lose. And there's very little forgiveness because you're stuck on a skateboard, not being able to choose which way you move, and only being able to press A pretty much every 2 seconds or so. You can't just spam it. So
this sounds frustrating.
It is. That being said, even with the frustration, even with the fact that I would say there's 18 characters and I dislike almost 10 of them because of how difficult they are to control, I will still say that game is a ton of fun. Now, what really makes it rough as a recommendation, because I enjoyed it, is it's about 2.5 to 3 hours long and it's $50. And after you finish those 2.5 to 3 hours, you either have a choice to play multiplayer modes, which I don't have anyone to play with, so I haven't been able to try those, or just play through the micro games. Now, I want to go see all the micro games. There's 200 of them. So you have to go back to the level and replay till you unlock each of them, and then you see what they look like. But once you look at all of them, that's it. You could like upgrade your characters, but it does next to nothing. It gets you more points in some mode. And you can upgrade your characters by getting these coins from playing these things. But the upgrade characters do nothing. They can just choose like a different color. Like Wario can wear blue instead of yellow. Like it's that simple. So it's not like
yeah. So it's not worth the $50 that it costs to play. In your opinion?
Nah, not at all. And I picked it up. Thankfully, Walmart in America has these for cheap on launch day. So I picked it up for like $42, knowing full well this might not be a game I keep. Now, my real decision is I do love the game and I love owning Nintendo titles, and they generally hold their value. So I don't know when I'm going to offload it, or if I'm going to, or if I'm going to keep it and just, if it becomes rare, great. But the problem is it definitely feels like something that as soon as Metroid comes out or anything that I'm playing, like Eastward comes out this coming week.
Yeah.
That's an indie that I was excited for. I don't imagine myself going back to it because I beat it. And once I see the 200 micro games, there's nothing left really.
Yeah. So just kind of sit in the collection, I guess, and not being touched ever again.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, is it something that you're interested in playing with the girls? Because it's almost too hard to recommend for kids too. The micro games are really quick and hard.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I was thinking about it, but after hearing your description, see, with the girls, like they get frustrated real easy at games. Mm-hmm. So, I try to let them play things that are easier for them to understand and things that are easier to like grasp when they're playing. That's Mario Karts and Crash games and stuff like that. But things where you have to be really precise and have patience and die over and over again, they probably give up on it pretty quick. So I don't know if that's something we'll dive into.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because I feel like Nintendo could have made this a slam dunk. It's made by Intelligent Designs, the company that makes Fire Emblem, Advance Wars, a bunch of their other games. And I really feel like all they need to do was add like a Mario Party mode or something where you go around a map and do.
That's what I was expecting this game to be. I thought it was going to be a Mario Party type game.
No, not at all. Honestly, the story is a lot of fun, but I almost feel like for the price, they should have given you like 3 or 4 of the game story modes put together. Like there should also be the original, which also did not have any like gimmick. So they could have put that in this one. It should have been like, you get to play that one and this one, because the price is just way too high for something that realistically, even if you're bad at games, you're looking at 4 hours tops. Like that's more than $12 an hour. At that point, you wonder, like, you know, what is your value? So if you're a gamer who has like 2 hours free a week and you have plenty of money because you make a lot of money. Yeah. I mean, if you want to just have fun for like, 2 hours, totally. But for me, that's still a hard sell. Even an incredible game, it has flaws. It's not like a perfect game, but even like a game that I really enjoyed, and I think it's silly and fun, I just feel like it's way too high a price for what it is.
And it's one of those games. I mean, it's Nintendo, so it probably won't. We probably won't see. We'll see maybe like a $7 or $8 price drop for like a week or so, but it's probably going to retain that value for at least a year or so.
Yeah, I would imagine they'll probably just take it out of circulation before they do a price drop, like they did with what was it called, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Like that, they stopped selling that game altogether physically in stores. So you can still buy it digitally, but there's no way to get it in stores. And it did go on sale like once or twice. I don't know why they did that. I don't know a bunch of stuff. But yeah, I'm just waiting to see what GameStop offers me to trade it in. And if it's close enough to my purchase price, truthfully, I might just get rid of it. Not because I dislike it by any means. But like I said, I bought it physically for this exact reason, because I had a feeling this might be a short-lived game. Now, I got some crazy FOMO last week when I started reading the Tales of Arise reviews. Not because I like Tales games. Like, our original podcast started with us making fun of Tales of Berseria. I think most Tales games.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Tales of Berseria, right, or whatever we do about. Yeah, it was a stupid looking game, and it, from what I understand, it was a very common Tales game. And honestly, the only Tales game, I don't have a ton of experience with a series. I've like touched Vesperia. I bought Zestiria on PS4, but the only one I actually put time into was Tales of Symphonia on GameCube. I bought that when it came out, and I really liked it.
The only one I played is the one that's on Gamescast, the Vesperia remaster or whatever it is.
Yeah, I really don't like that game, but yeah, it was probably a lot better when it came out.
It wasn't bad. I mean, I spent only like 3 hours on it, but I didn't hate it. It's something that if I had nothing else to play, I would finish it. So
if you didn't hate Vesperia, you might actually enjoy this game, because this is much closer to a modern JRPG. It is still a little janky, not as like, Psychonauts 2. It has a much bigger budget, you could tell. But they rush these games kind of. They're huge games. And they finish them normally every 2 to 4 years. They use the Unreal Engine 4, so this is like a totally new engine for them on this one. So it took them a little bit while longer, but it is a full 3D style game. The only difference between it, like say Final Fantasy 15, in terms of the way you move and attack, is that your characters go into a battle screen when the enemies come. It's really quick, and then you fight enemies. But it's like almost not noticeable. The loading's maybe like half a second to get in, and maybe 1 second to get out. So it's not bad. It's a very JRPG. Like, characters' dialogue is very cheesy. It's very anime. But to be honest with you,
that's what I was going to ask. Like, what do the backgrounds look like? Are they more like surreal, or are they more cartoony, like that series is known for?
I'm only an hour and a half in. It's very cel shaded. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of Dragon Quest XI, which was also an Unreal Engine 4 game. So I don't know why, but it reminds me a ton of that. I think Dragon Quest XI has a little bit more heart and personality. But that being said, like, it looks beautiful. I have it on Series X. It looks great. Character models look pretty good. The game itself is just pretty nice to look at and fun to play. But I will say I'm only an hour and a half in, and a lot of games like this, like, to give you an example, a lot of the videos for the game show the character's face, but they also show a character in a mask. I haven't even got the mask off yet. So I don't even know when that happens. So they haven't even announced my character's name yet, which I know from all the reviews and other videos often. But they call my character Iron Mask right now. So it is very much that style game. It's going to take a while. How long I'll play, I don't know. I really am enjoying it. So I'm not like in the, oh man, I can't wait to stop playing this. But I will say that late September, October, November, it potentially could be packed for me, depending on how FOMO-y I get on these games that are coming out. Because Tales of Arise was another one that I said I had no interest in, and I ended up picking it up day one. So very hypocritical on my game purchase choices this year. Pretty much all of them I had said I wasn't going to do. Do you have any interest in playing it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to if I, once I. Can you hear me right now?
I can hear you. Yeah, it was cutting out for a little bit there. I don't know if you talked when I was
that was
speaking.
weird. No, sorry. I was like, I opened another window on my computer and it like freaked out. Yeah, no, I'd like to play it at some point. I'm like haven't I haven't played like a newer game in a bit, so maybe I'll play that one. But yeah, I think I might wait until
We had talked off air about Sonic Colors. I know you. I don't know why that's the game, but you had said you were trying to get Sonic Colors Ultimate. Did you give up on that, or what's going on with that?
No, I never picked that one up. I gotta when I get paid again, I'll probably go grab it.
Okay, yeah, you got to buy those toys instead, man. Don't buy any games. We're gonna have to become a toy cast, and I don't know who's gonna have to be your co-host because I don't know anything about toys, but that is what you know and love now. I feel like, yeah, I mean, you're not missing a ton, to be honest. These aren't games like I would be running from the hilltops screaming about in any other year. But that being said, Tales of Arise is pretty fun. Like, it's not a bad game. It's just like if this was 2017, I wouldn't have given it the light of day. I wouldn't even turn it on because that was a crazy year with tons of stuff. About games, just to wrap up stuff I've been playing or will be playing, I have Deathloop. We are recording this podcast as it is literally launching. It launched 5 minutes ago. I will get to it, and hopefully, we'll podcast next week or the week after, and I'll have a lot to say about that, Eastward, whatever else comes out, and whatever else I end up purchasing. There's actually a lot of small indies and quite a few big titles coming out before the end of the year. But like we've spoken about on the show before, there's nothing really like mind-blowing, so it's just more like what comes out that people seem to enjoy that I want to spend money and take a risk on. Deathloop came out with 9s and 10s from most publications, and I generally like Arcane. So it was $60 PS5 title, very rare, and it was on sale for like $52 with PS Plus. So it's like, sure, I'll take that risk. I am going to vamp for a second because we're having some internet connectivity issues. I am going to be back. Not done yet. His internet crapped out, so we're going to try to record a few more minutes.
Hey, my bad, dude. That was frustrating.
Okay, what happened?
The wind's blowing real hard out here, so I think they hit the internet dish a little too hard.
Well, no worries. It's 11 o'clock your time, so let's clap us back in. We'll try to run through the 2 news articles. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, cool. I'm going to clap. You got everything recording still?
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Well, thank you for staying there with us through those technical difficulties. We are wrapping up that game section. Now let's get into some non-positive Sony news. I just mentioned Deathloop was going out with nonstop 10s and 9s. Hoping it's good,
Yeah,
but
I don't understand that, man. Like I don't.
What do you not understand, man? They've been getting like boosted scores since all last generation. It's not going to stop.
Yeah, I still don't get it though. Like the game itself does not look that good.
Yeah, I mean, they got me to buy it because of those scores. Like I was expecting it to be 8s, and I was totally about to wait because
like,
I had no interest in it.
Yeah, but I mean, even we talked about Ratchet and Clank. Like it's a fun game, but it's not a 10.
Well, yeah, definitely it's not. It was fun though. It was worth the time I spent with it, I would say. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I totally know what you mean. Well, anyways, in non-positive Sony news, because it's actually going to be a pretty positive Sony podcast in the end for our second piece of news that we'll talk about. In the non-positive Sony side, they did some real fumbling with Horizon Forbidden West, and it was wild. So they fixed stuff, but let's go through it real quick. The original story was on September 2nd. They announced that Horizon Forbidden West was coming out. You could pre-order it now, but they announced that if you bought it, the standard edition or the $10 above the standard edition, there was no way to upgrade or have a dual entitlement, as they call it. So you would have to rebuy the game if you want it for PS5. So if you purchase the standard PS4 version, or I want to say it was Deluxe or whatever the name of the special edition's called, the one right above, it did not include the PS5 version. There was no way to pay additional money to upgrade it. So you'd have to pay $90.
That did not go over well with a lot of people. The internet.
No, it didn't. Do you want to run through what happened? I've talked so much. Run it through.
No, I mean I don't know the specifics. I know that they announced this game and they said there would not be an upgrade path for it, and that angered a lot of people. And then they backtracked on it the next day, right? Like they said, okay, I don't. What were all the? There are so many different versions. What were the different versions? There was like a PS4 version,
don't ask me.
A special edition version, a PS5, and a special edition PS5. There was a special edition you can get that comes with things, but it's only a digital copy. Like it was all chaos coming out the gate. But anyways, they were like, if you have the PS4 version, there is no upgrade path to the PS5 version. You just have to buy the game over again. And I know that upset a lot of people. And then it was the next day, I think they started backtracking on it. They're like, well, we are going to include an upgrade path because
2 days later, yeah.
2 days later, because that clearly wasn't a good marketing move on their part. And I'm curious if that came from Guerrilla Games or if that came from Sony.
Okay, so just to go over these editions, there's the standard edition, the digital deluxe edition, the special edition, which either is physical or digital, the collector's edition, and then the special collector's edition called the Regala edition, which both of those came with like special figurines, and the Regala edition came with an extra special figurine. Neither the collector's nor the Regala edition came with the physical game. It was the digital code with a steelbook. This stuff's wild. If you want to look into it, it's insane. So one of the reasons why people were so upset is Jim Ryan had said that these cross-gen titles, or the cross-gen titles at least at launch, were going to come for both. There was going to be an upgrade path. So people were pretty upset that that was essentially a lie, because that was not the case. However, what's come since then is now if you get it on PS4 digital, which you're reminding me now I need to pre-order it because it's $10 off essentially. If you buy it on PS4 or the digital version on PS4, you get the free PS5 version at launch. Now on top, so it's essentially 60 instead of 70, so it's like $10 off. And then on top of that, so that's just for Horizon. The other two cross-gen titles we know about, the God of War Ragnarok, which we'll talk about soon, and Gran Turismo 7, which I guess we'll mention soon, they are going to have a $10 digital upgrade path. So if you want to go from PS4 to PS5, you can do it for $10. Now,
So
there's
you're
a lot
basically
of
just
art.
paying that extra like $60 to $70.
Yeah, which is fair in my opinion. That's the most fair way to do what they want to do, which is charge their premium prices for these games. They are not Microsoft. There's no smart delivery with this stuff. There's two versions of all of these games. I don't know how much you've spent time on your PS5, but it's very easy to accidentally download PS4 versions unless you're literally looking there to see which one's PS5.
Yeah.
So you could have both versions on the console, which is dumb, and unlock two separate trophies systems for them. So, anyways, you could do that stuff on Microsoft for those like, I want to do that. Well, you could put on an external hard drive and play the Xbox One version all you want to your heart's content. But anyways, smart delivery just is so much easier. It's just an easy way of doing things. That's not what Sony wants to do. However, enough negative about Sony. We are on the tie train, so we're going to run through this as fast as we can, even though this is kind of major news and probably won't be super fast. PlayStation had a showcase last Thursday, so almost a week ago when you're listening to this. And they covered a ton of stuff. We're probably going to mainly talk about the big titles, but we'll mention everything. They kicked this thing off with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake, which I guess is exclusive to PS5 at launch.
As far as we know, it's for the first 6 months probably.
It's just wild. I had heard about this rumor a while ago. Like, we might have even discussed something like it on the original Super BS. I did not think that it was not going to be on Xbox.
Because the original was exclusive to Xbox, so that's what was weird about this.
Xbox PC, yeah. So this one is PS5 and PC, it sounds like, but, maybe it will be on, Xbox in the future. There's a lot of weird Sony exclusivity stuff. Case in point, Deathloop, the game I'm playing, is a Microsoft-owned company that they bought exclusivity for that game. Now, this IGN article doesn't have the order of things that were there, but I remember the show fairly well. It was actually a really good show. You should watch it online if you have free time and you like press conferences. It was like 45 minutes of just back-to-back-to-back trailers. They were all pretty good. There was maybe like two talking heads, Herman Holst and Jim Ryan or whatever. Next title was a weird hack and slash style called Project Eve. Did you see that?
Yes, that was that's kind of like a Bayonetta-esque game, and if you're a fan of Devil May Cry, that might be a game for you. I don't know. I had a hard time. It didn't look that great to me. It just doesn't look like something I'm going to run out and play.
I will say 75% of the games shown here are games that I probably will buy day one. Project Eve is going to have to do a lot to sell me. That was not one of the titles I'm interested in at all. They then showed off your game. Guess what game they showed off? The game that you love.
God of War?
No, that's the last game of the show.
Project Athia?
What is the game that you play that I ridicule you to no end that they've released a third one of 2 years ago?
Oh,
and I was like,
Tiny Tina. Yeah,
Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Wonderland. Yeah, and they announced that they gave that a March release date.
Yeah, I love how they kind of let you think it would be potentially like an RPG, and then they show the gameplay, and it's just guns. It's guns again.
It's basically a long version of the Bunkers and Badass expansion for Borderlands 2.
Yeah, but this is a totally separate standalone game. I was hoping it was going to be more than guns,
Yeah, I mean, and they showed like magic. People are using magic, but it might also just be the siren powers at work too.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I will say I'm more interested in it than I was 3, but it still has a lot to do to sell me on it as like a game I want to play at launch. After that, they spent a lot of time with this game that is coming out really, really soon. So Tiny Tina's, which we mentioned, is coming out March. Forspoken, originally Project Athia. It's a Square Enix game. I guess the Final Fantasy 15 team, when they split off, half went to make this. The other half finished Final Fantasy 15. It looks like it could be incredibly fun, but it also looks like it could be horrible. It's coming out in, according to them, spring of 2022, so I guess we'll know. Visually, it's beautiful, but there was a lot of running on rooftops that reminded me of Kingdom Hearts.
It had like a Prince of Persia feel to it, but this was the first game Square, I think, made on the PS5 engine. So, I mean, this could be, like you said, it could be good or it could be like a failed experiment. But either way, like, I'm kind of interested in, if I don't pick it up, I'm interested in at least like seeing what other people think about it, because it does look like a great game. It's very pretty.
Well, I mean, like I said, 75% of these games are day one for me, and that is definitely
Right.
one, as long as it doesn't come out and people realize, like, oh, it's like horrible. It's not fun at all, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, I'm out, but I'm optimistic about it.
Yeah.
I've been burned before by Kingdom Hearts and other Square Enix titles,
Oh,
so I'm just
absolutely.
going to keep
Yeah.
my optimism in check. They then announced that Uncharted 4 and A Lost Legacy are the Uncharted spinoff are both coming. They're getting remastered for PS5 and coming to PC. Does this do anything for you?
I mean, I've been meaning to go back and play them at some point, so maybe I'll pick up this PS5 remaster. I guess my big question here is, does it have a new set of trophies? Because if it does have a new set of trophies, then I might be more inclined to play it.
What do you think of Uncharted 4?
I mean, it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't bad either. Like, it was slow. It's really slow compared to the other ones, but I liked it better than 3. I didn't really like 3 that much.
I have only liked 1 and 2, to be honest with you. I
Yeah.
played half of 3 and fell off, and half of 4, and I fell off that one too. I find them to be very imprecise, and I don't like the shooting at all, and that's what you do in a lot of those
Yeah, the
games for a
shooting
long periods of
bothers me
time.
for sure. Yeah, and
Just not good.
I don't know if you played Lost Legacy, but Lost
I
Legacy
didn't.
actually, like, it was a very smooth game, and I played that one just right after Rise of the Tomb Raider, and so like it felt very smooth compared to some of the mechanics in the other games, which I appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, these come out for dirt cheap, or my brother-in-law buys them. I'm all in. I have Lost Legacy on my hard drive somewhere. I just haven't wanted to play it. I don't like those games very much, and I wonder if
Yeah.
I playing Lost Legacy before I finish 4 is going to ruin 4.
Mhm.
They then went on to talk about some other games. I don't know the order, but I will say what they are. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction. Does this do anything for you?
No.
Yeah, me neither. They keep talking about it. Never going to be something I'm interested in. Alan Wake. We talked about that. Did we talk about this on the show? I know we talked about it
We
privately.
talked about we talked about on the chat thread, but
Yeah.
this is a game, like, if it comes out at a price point of like 20 or $30, I'll probably pick it up.
First time on PS5, man. But it's coming out
Yeah.
to Xbox and PlayStation and PC. I don't think it's coming to Switch, but it's coming out October 5th. So literally 3
Yeah.
weeks from now.
And this, this kind of makes me wonder, like, are they gearing up to make a sequel? Because I know Control is the big game for them right now. So,
I still
the
don't like
Alan,
Control nearly as much as Alan Wake. Alan Wake
yeah,
is
well, because I
superior.
know with the Alan Wake expansion on Control, like, that actually got a lot of people to go out and pick up like the Ultimate Edition of Control. So, I still think that Alan Wake is maybe their prized property.
I think it's their best game by far. I mean, the only
Yeah.
other game I like that Remedy's made is Max Payne and Max Payne 2. I did not like Quantum
Yeah.
Break at all, and I keep trying to get into Control. I don't hate it. it's not something I enjoy. I would
Yeah.
say, if I was ranking their games, it'd be Alan Wake, Max Payne 2, Control, and then, Quantum Break's really low down that list. It's not horrible, it's just not fun. They then went on to show a trailer for GTA 5, which got delayed out of this year into March of next year. It's wild that they showed a trailer for this one, because it's just like, this game is sold and it looks the same as it did last
the
time.
response to that trailer has been so negative. I've been like reading these articles where people are just trashing it all week.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. They need to shut up about that. If they want to do it, just release it, because nobody cares at this point. Like, it's just going to be a slightly better looking, if that, version of a PS3 360 game at this point. It's just wild to think that they're not going to give people something new.
They need to stop doing this and just focus on whatever the next entry coming out is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, but this is a cash cow. They're going to ride it till it dies. This is not the order, but whatever. This is what's next in the list I'm reading. Gran Turismo 7, they've revealed the release date, which, man, spring is looking crazy. March 22nd, 2022. I know you're a racing game fan. Are you going to get this one?
Yeah, I'll pick it up. I kind of lost interest in Gran Turismo after the last few entries, though. Like,
I liked 2 on the PlayStation 1.
Oh yeah,
that was my favorite.
Two and 3 and 4 were great, but I look at when I play a racing game, like, I want to play Forza, because Forza gives you hundreds of races. It gives you, the more customizing options. It's more like user friendly. With Gran Turismo, you only get to play so many races, and they change things by making it like, hey, we're gonna have half the game be you racing, half the game you coach racers, and then the last one to come out was a game you had to play online, and it just left it. there's not a lot left of the old days of Gran Turismo in these games anymore. So I'm hoping they go back to form with this, but I don't like them now as much as I enjoy a Forza game.
I will say it's very different from the Horizon series, which is the only modern racing game I've ever spent any time with as of late. In that it's just like you choose racetracks from a map, so it's much more of like you choose places from all over the world, which in its own way is neat. But I don't know, man. I definitely think like it's not probably going to be for me, especially at $70. Like,
yeah, it
looks beautiful, but I don't have a 4K TV. What's the point of someone like me getting it?
Right, and it's more of an arcade simulator as opposed to like a I guess sit at home racing simulator. That's what Gran Turismo has always been, though.
Yeah. I mean, nothing against people love it. Like if my brother-in-law gets it, I'll definitely turn it on. I think I'd like it more than Returnal, but I think the days of me enjoying these like racing and sports games in mass are very low. So, I'll play Forza Horizon 5 because that's part of Game Pass and it looks incredible. Yeah. I just don't see myself also being like, yeah, let me do maybe it will spark this love of driving, where I'll like, I gotta get Gran Turismo because I love the driving in Horizon so much. But
absolutely.
Yeah. They then showed off a game that I think could be very, very cool called Chia. Chia? Do you know which one I'm talking about? It's like the Hawaiian game with a little girl, and she also has like, it looks like a gliding ability like Breath of the Wild. Anyways, it's very Pixar-esque, DreamWorks style, 3D art, and it looks great, man. I really hope it's good. Who knows? It's not a AAA title, so we will see what it is and what it does whenever it comes out because we don't know anything about it, and there were a lot of games without release dates shown. Ghostwire Tokyo, they showed a trailer, no release date, no clue about that game.
They didn't really show a lot of gameplay. Kind of just what we've already seen of it, in fact.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know at all. But it's again, I would say that's one of the ones that I'll probably get day one, unless people will say it's just not good or it comes out at a busy month. It looked interesting enough to me.
I'm intrigued.
If it comes out. Yeah,
I'm definitely intrigued.
They then spent time on Marvel's Guardian of the Galaxy, which the more they show, maybe the more I'm warming up to it. I really don't know much about it. Like, I still don't think it looks that good. I still don't know if it's a game for me, but we'll see. If it's good, great. I love the team who made it. They made the Deus Ex games, and then they made Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which wasn't my favorite. Yeah, Eidos Montreal. Yeah. Or Eidos Montreal. They then showed a Deathloop trailer, which, of course, because that's what they love doing, and that finally came out today, so finally no more of those. They had that free-to-play vampire game, The Masquerade, the weird blood hunt.
I saw that.
They shouldn't have done that. That really kind of, to me, that was like one of the sore spots of the show is like, this isn't, you had a really killer show. Why is this here?
Yeah.
And then they had a bizarre, baffling thing, but it was kind of neat. It was the Radiohead and Epix Games team up for like Kid Amnesia. It's like an exhibit to see this. I would rather have more stuff like that than Vampire the Masquerade just because that game looks so B tier. And then what did they finish off? Or wait, yeah, actually tell me the 3 games they finished off the show with, because I think these are all 3 your title games and games that I'm actually really interested in. Tell me what they were.
They did. I don't want to say. What did? Oh shoot, man! Like, hold on. Let me look at this.
You want my help?
Just sent me.
I'll give you the first one. I'll give you the first one. So they had one at a bar.
I know. Yep, Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I'm told that from what I'm told, what I'm reading is that it's going to be a very mature game, very dark, and it's going to be a big open game, and like I know the Wolverine Origins, though it didn't score well when it was reviewed. Remember the Wolverine Origins game for 360? People still really liked playing it. Like the average Joes really enjoyed it. So I just don't know with someone with Wolverine's power, like what makes Spider-Man cool is he swings his webs around the city, right? You kind of get that like sandbox feel, but with Wolverine, I think it's going to be a little bit different.
Maybe they'll let him run fast and climb buildings using his claws.
Yeah, maybe. But with a Wolverine game, though, like you're having to do a story that's a little different from Spider-Man. You know, he's kind of a different type of character. So I don't know. They didn't really show any gameplay of this. They kind of just showed a trailer. And from what if Spider-Man, I don't know where Spider-Man's at in the development cycle, but if they're gonna finish that one first, I feel like Wolverine is a game we probably won't see for about 3 or 4 years.
Man, I hope you're wrong. I really hope Wolverine is next year's title and Spider-Man 2, the next game that they announced, is 2023, because that would be wild if this is a 2024 title that they just showed off. Wouldn't surprise me. You could totally be right, but
Yeah, I mean that's what Sony does, though, right? Like they show anytime they show just a cinematic, it usually means we're not going to see the game for a couple years.
Yeah, I am hoping that there's some, since they're both made by Insomniac, it's Spider-Man and Wolverine. I'm hoping that there's going to be some type of crossover. I thought that could be neat, you know, since they have
they always do that in the comic books, so that
they
was fun.
They did a great job. I don't know if you played Miles Morales ever, but I talked about that on the podcast a lot. That game is a lot of fun. If I would have played it before in the last year, there's a good chance it would have made it on my top 5. Like that game was just a blast. So right after that, they announced Spider-Man 2. It looks like there is potentially going to be co-op because they showed both Miles Morales and Peter Parker together.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about. Is it going to be co-op? Are you going to have to choose a character, or are there going to be missions that are specific to each Spider-Man? Because like they both have different power sets. So I mean, it would be fun to have to play as both of them.
Yeah, so a lot of people are hoping it's not co-op just because that would make the game very, very, very different. I don't know. I would be okay if they made like a side campaign that's co-op, and then the main game is you split your time like you just mentioned, or you're able to switch at will, you know, at different times in the main game, and then you can tackle different story missions. So like, you could switch wherever you want, and then you're going to be doing different story missions, kind of like GTA 5 was, if you remember. They ended the show, and you can spend most time talking about this. I'll chime in with a few things, but this is your game, the game that we argued about on Old Super BS, and I still stand by my opinion totally. What did they end the show with, and tell people about
it? God of War Ragnarok.
What, they named it Ragnarok? Nobody would have ever thought that. That wasn't the title that everybody assumed was going to be called.
Yeah, so this one was interesting to me because they showed they showed quite a bit of it, but they didn't they said that this was going to be the end of the Norse saga. So we were all under the impression that this was going to go on for 3 games, right? We thought it was going to be we thought the last game was the birth of a new trilogy. So it really surprised me to hear that this is it for the Norse saga, because there's still so much mythology that can be unpacked in this, and like they did such a great job telling the story in the last game. So it's confusing to me that they would just stop it. But that also leads me to believe, I know we've been talking about how, you know, maybe God of War is going to be a small game, but seeing what they've done with this and what's in the trailer, and knowing that this is, you know, supposed to cap off this part of the story, I feel like it's going to be a lot bigger game than we're both expecting it to be.
Yeah, I'm interested. They did mention that, or people I've heard on other podcasts found out from PlayStation blog posts and all those other things, that it will contain all of the realms. If you remember, there were a lot of locked realms, 9 realms in the previous game. A lot of people were surmising that maybe you're just going to go back to those old realms in a different environment, like some are snow, some are summer, different types of weather that will affect things. Like if you remember from the trailer, you're riding wolves and a sled to go places. I don't think this is any spoiler because it's in the trailer, but they do show off that the enemy is going to be Thor. And I think the woman who was in the first game, I think her name was Freya. She seems like she's going to be an enemy. I don't remember. I know there was like a heel turn, if you will, in the end of the first one where she kind of becomes antagonistic towards you. I don't remember why.
You murder her son.
Oh, that was totally why. That's Thor.
Yeah, look at, you know, so everyone keeps on saying something about a Marvel connection in the trailer. I didn't catch it, but this looks nothing like the Thor from Marvel. Like this is
a joke, right? For people watching, he posted a picture of Thor that I don't think is going to be in the game. He is a very fat, rotund.
This is the Thor that they showed. This is the one that the developers released.
Really? Okay, yeah, you're right. I thought this was a joke that you just showed me.
No, this is like Fat Thor times 10, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. They also showed off a character named Tyr, I think he's the Norse god of fighting or war or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
he's the giant, right? The last remaining giant or something like that, or
I don't know if he's the last remaining giant, but you do meet the last remaining giant. I don't remember
in the
who it
form
was,
of that
but
little the girl character.
yeah.
Or I guess
Um,
technically like Atreus is one of the last remaining giants. I don't know. It's confusing.
yeah, I mean, I have some issues with the first game. I thought it was fairly fun. I thought story wise it was great. I just didn't think it was that much fun to play. There were lots of moments where I was like sick of playing it, and I only kept playing it to get to the story beats. So I'm
Yeah.
really hoping the second one kind of turns up the fun. Do you have
Well,
any thoughts on it? I don't want to rehash everything we
no,
talked about
no, of
2018, but
course, no. But I mean, like this is. See, I enjoyed seeing them being able, like, interacting with the villagers on the screen. Remember when they're showing
I
the
love that.
trailer? Like, that's something I think is going to be cool because it makes me believe that they kind of added a lot of, I guess, RPG elements into God of
Hmm.
War. So this makes me wonder if there's going to be we're going to go even further down that RPG path with this game.
Yeah. There's a lot I'm very interested in. We're probably going to have a lot more to find out. Supposedly coming out next year. I am not betting on that, but that's the rumor. We will see. You know, this is this is one of those things where 2022. I feel like they could, say in mid 2022, that's not coming out this year anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
we'll find out. That trailer showed a lot of gameplay though, so that is a
Yeah.
good sign that it's possible. Is there? I know it's crazy late on your end, so you're probably on the sleepy side, and I'm also on the tie side. Is there anything else game adjacent that you want to share before we hit the old dusty trail?
No, not that I can think of, man. I mean, I'll just, you know how I love me some God of War, so I'm excited to play that one. And yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to hear about Deathloop. I'm not gonna play it, but I really want to hear your thoughts on this. So like
Okay,
we're gonna have to reconvene next week, and you're gonna have to regale me with some
there's going to be tons of
tales in the
regaling,
loop.
man.
I want to
There will
hear about
probably
the
be
loop.
Deathloop, more Tales of Arise, and probably Eastward. Before we go, though, real quick, what do you think of the press conference overall or the Sony State of Play?
It was good. It gave me a lot of things to look forward to. I was not too sure about like what Sony was gonna end up doing.
Totally. I think
Especially
they killed it.
they
I think
did.
they did a really
Unfor-
good job.
Unfortunately, I don't think that they're going to be much competition during this holiday season. Not really outside of
Oh,
Deathloop. Not really
yeah.
anything that's going to put them. That's going to overcome what Microsoft has coming out. I don't even think Nintendo has much coming out
I mean, they got
outside of
Metroid next month, but beyond that,
Metroid
there's
and
not.
Yeah, put the Pokemon remakes. But I
Oh,
mean,
I forgot about those. Yeah, there's a
yeah,
couple titles of theirs that I'm looking forward to: Shin Megami Tensei 5 and
hmm
Advance Wars, kind of. But at the same time, yeah, it's a weak holiday season. Hopefully, Halo Infinite comes out, and hopefully it's
yeah.
killer because that's really the one AAA title. Forza Horizon 5, as excited as I am for it, it's more like a glad this is with Game Pass. I would not have spent $60
Oh
on
yeah,
it.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
probably worth it, but
and I'm sure there's a lot of people in that same boat.
yeah. Well, okay. Well, hopefully we're going to talk soon. That's the goal,
Yeah.
and we'll chat some Deathloop and all the other things, and hopefully you'll have gotten your Sonic Colors or played Artful Escape or done something, and I'll be able to ask you questions about one of those because I love me some Chow. I am all about Chow
Yeah.
Gardens. So
Yeah.
till later, Eggman. Peace.
Peace.